Today, we are dismantling toxic positivity. We are looking at the psychological trap of good vibes only and why trying to force positive thinking is actually spiking your cortisol and actively blocking your manifestations. It is time to get comfortable in the dark, baby. Here to help me bring this high level shadow work down to reality are event planner and law of attraction expert, Callie, and project manager and spiritually led adventurer, Michele. If you struggle to tell the difference between your own intuition and your anxiety, that is exactly what we train for inside the Soul Alignment Collective. Join the waitlist using the link in the show notes. Let's get started. Welcome to Soul Signals. I'm your host, Melissa Kincaid, evidential psychic medium, joined by my co-hosts, Callie and Michele. No fluff, no filters, just real conversations about intuition, grief, and finally becoming who you're meant to be. Hello, and welcome back to Soul Signals. I am your host, evidential psychic medium Melissa Kincaid, and I am joined with my wonderful, wonderful co-hosts, Callie and Michele. And we are incredibly excited to be here today. We are going to be discussing toxic positivity and shadow work today. And okay, I gotta get my notes up here. So I want to talk a little bit about toxic positivity. Toxic positivity is a heavily researched psychological trap. Studies show that when humans force
Why are you being so negative?
Studies show that when humans force positive thinking to suppress genuine negative emotions, it actually increases cortisol, which is the stress hormones, and anxiety. And boy, do we have a lot of anxiety in this society these days. And I think it's really, there's a lot of people
Who's losing their hair? Raise their hand.
Me. Yeah. More gray hair, less of it.
Less of it.
That might be perimenopause, but it's also
Whatever,
stress.
yeah.
I also want to talk about the trap that we get into about positive thinking and when it comes to the law of attraction. The law of attraction is real and incredibly powerful, and I don't want to take away from that. And so that is something that I work with all of the time. Callie for sure works with law of attraction. She's been with a law of attraction coach since 2008, right? And I think that it is an incredibly powerful tool. However, the missing link is that you cannot out manifest a dysregulated nervous system. So if you are constantly trying to think positively through your churny gut that is telling you that something isn't right, it's not going to work. You can say, I am calm. I am calm. It doesn't mean anything while you're hyperventilating. Like nobody cares if you're like, I am calm.
Oh my God.
It's not going to work. So, and I do want to bring up the topic or the term spiritual bypassing, and people do it all of the time. I see it on Instagram. I've seen it in law of attraction circles where it's that bad thing that happened, just ignore that and just focus on the positive. That's where all of the good things. I have run into the trap of, especially with law of attraction, if it's meant to be, it's going to flow easily. And that's actually not necessarily true. I actually had this conversation. I talk with AI all the time, you guys. I'll teach you how I do that. It's a sounding board for me. And I made a comment about how things seem difficult in building this business. And I felt like if this was meant, why is it so hard? And they said, Melissa, just because it's meant to be doesn't mean it's going to be hard. When you build a house, you're still going to, the hammer's going to hit your finger from time to time when you're going to get splinters, you're going to do all those things. That doesn't mean the house isn't getting built. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Still have to do the work.
Yeah. And spiritual bypassing is the ignoring that you have a huge splinter in your thumb and continuing on. And then guess what happens? That splinter gets infected and then you get gangrene and then you got to chop your arm off and let's not be doing that. Let's pay attention to the splinter and take the splinter out before it gets worse. And you've seen, I'm sure people have experienced people who are spiritually bypassing. I am spiritual, therefore I am perfect. And boy, does it show up in this industry a lot. The love, we're talking about like the love and light people, the people who are avoiding the gritty psychological work, which is actually blocking your manifestation. So we definitely want to talk about this because I think, there's law of attraction is such an interesting space. And I'm really interested to hear what both of you guys have to say about it because we all have our own relationship with it and how that's shown up. And I think that it's going to be really helpful for people to hear. So because Callie, you've been very intentional about, oh, you can hear my dogs in the background. Sorry, you guys.
They're really excited for this topic too.
They're like, whoa, I hate spiritual bypassing. But
toxic positivity. T-shirt. I bark for spiritual bypassing. Or I bark at.
Yeah.
I bark at.
I bark at spiritual bypassers. I'm curious from you, Callie, again, because you have been intentional about law of attraction over the last 17-ish years or whatever.
That's a long time. Dang.
Sorry.
How is that possible? I'm only 25. I've been studying this forever.
I'm curious what your experience has been with this part of like spiritually bypassing and how that's shown up with the law of attraction in your life.
Like everybody, you were like, when we first learned about law of attraction, it was like, oh, just think positive and positive things will come. And that's all you have to do. That's literally all you have to do. And then you're like, well, okay. Cliff Notes version, I guess. But it's not, because we all are human and we have emotions, highs, lows, everything. And like my coach always has said, like, she's like, feel it fully and let it through, because you have to feel that a full emotion. Is it negative? Quote unquote, feel it, go through, feel it. There was somebody on, what was it? It was Facebook or Instagram or whatever. And they said, if you hold on, like you have your hands clenched and you hold on to these emotions, they can't get out. And then they just seep into you. Like they just seep and you're holding on to them, holding on to them, holding on to them. When you open your hands and you let it flow out, it's going to flow away. And then the next emotion is going to be able to come through, and then those things. But also recognizing that like what you have felt is also contrast to what you want. So you can say like, I don't know, like I don't have any like hard examples right now, but like, let's just say you got a car accident or something. And the rest of the day, you're just like, the stupid person. They hit my car and it just ruined my whole day. It did everything. Oh my gosh. Like all these things. Okay. Yeah. It sucks to have your car backed into or hit or whatever those things. But like on the other side is you're like, well, cool. Now maybe I get a new car. Now maybe like, okay, now I appreciate my drive into work when it's smooth, even though I'm going to work. Like I can look at it and be like, okay, so the opposite of that is X. And so if you can kind of, and I think that's what they really mean. It's like, you're not saying that like things aren't going to happen. It's like, how are you looking at this and to say, okay, this is a negative, quote unquote. And what I'm looking for is a positive. Okay, great. Now I have something to essentially guide my quest for going forward. And or that could be like maybe you had a really, really bad relationship. Something, maybe it was toxic and horrible. Okay, you're right. It was, and it sucked and it was horrible. But like now what's your is that a barometer? Like what do I want to see? What am I looking for in my next relationship? Okay, great. So this was not what I want. Cool. Now I know what I don't want. Instead, I can move it into something that this is the direction I do want. And I can align with that energy and that space.
Yeah.
I don't know if that answers that question, but like, I think that's interesting. I mean, because those are big, broader things. Totally. It's like, I'm sitting here and we're talking about this and I'm thinking about how does this apply to everyday life in the moment decisions?
Yeah.
How are we stewards of decisive action and not spiritual bypassing while still walking our walk?
That's a good question. I think we have to stop having judgment on emotion. Yeah. And I think, Callie has said a couple times, quote unquote, negative.
Yeah.
I think we need to look at emotion as neutral. And I think we need to recognize that we tend to hold on to negative emotion and let go of positive emotion. I saw this Instagram, and we're talking about Instagram a lot, but I saw this Instagram post many, many years ago. And this guy, and I don't remember the gal's name, but she said, why is it that when somebody criticizes us, we hold on to it and it almost like becomes part of who we are? But when somebody compliments us, we bat it away.
Oh, well, I mean, I have a lot to say about
that. Yeah. Yeah, and
That's
it's the same
yeah.
thing with negative emotions, though. I think that we tend to sit in grief. We tend to sit in rage.
Yeah.
I mean, what do they call it? Recreational rage. You know what I mean? A rage baiting and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
It gets people going. It is this crazy addictive thing. Is the more shadow
Yeah.
emotions is very addictive to people, which I find fascinating because the positive ones can be addicting too, but we don't trust those emotions. We trust the negative, we don't trust the positive.
Okay, so I have an interesting story. Not maybe it's not interesting, but it was an interaction with my best friend. Okay, grand scheme of things. She flies out to the East Coast. We're taking a road trip. She's driving with me all the way from Pennsylvania back to Seattle. So we're road warriors, and we have packed my car. Everything I own fit in my car. It's like the Matrix. Everything's cool. But when you're on a road trip and you got all this stuff in your car your whole life, you got to take it out of the car at night, unfortunately. So here we are. We pull in Indiana. And you guys, when I say it was raining, I mean, it was like the water would
Pissing
hit and
rain.
then it would bounce 6 inches in the air. Like you couldn't see. It was pouring. Pull into this like Marriott hotel. It's broken down. There's no awning. There's no nothing. And we have to unload my car. And I am raging. I am so mad at the rain, at the Marriott, at society, and I'm tired. And my best friend, she's like, "We got this. This is good." And we push the first cart through the doors, and she's like, "We got this. Keep going." And I just look at her and go, "No, stop." She's like, "What?" I'm like, "I'm fucking pissed. I'm going to be mad right now." And I just raged. And she just looked at me and she was like, "That was amazing." I'm like, "What do you mean?" She's like, you just you gave yourself permission for us to have permission to be mad at this." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, of course." Like Callie said, I'm mad. I don't want it to ruin the rest of my night
Yeah.
and be inside of me and hold on. And yes, we got this. We're strong. We got that. Fuck that. I'm mad right now.
Yeah.
Okay, now we can say thank you for giving us a safe trip and pushing
Yeah,
us
totally.
forward. And but it's those moments in our day-to-day life when we can just go, yeah, I'm not sucking it up. We're done sucking it up.
Yeah.
No more sucking it up, people.
Yeah, I think what makes me think of when you say that is that we think that to make things easier, we have to just ignore and move on. But sometimes what makes it easier is just expressing it in the moment. So, because it allows us to let it go.
Go.
It
Yeah.
allows us to release at that moment.
And
And
you're allowing it to flow.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing. It's just like, feel it. Great. Feel it completely. And then let him be open to the next feeling.
I think that's
too.
the part
Yeah.
that's hard, though. The part that's hard is you feel the feeling, and I do think there is an addiction to it. It's the letting that feeling go, letting it go and flow through you, so you don't hold on to it. So, do either of you have examples or ways to let go of the negative emotion?
I think naming it.
Yeah.
And being like, okay, in this moment, fuck you. I don't want to do this. I'm crabby. But I'm doing it. I have to do it. I don't have another choice. And this is how I'm going to feel in it. And then like being okay to like let all of that out. I mean, there's a whole reason like we cry too, right? Like we hold back the tears because we don't want to release them. And then as soon as we release them, what happens? We're like,
so
our whole body just goes, oh,
Yeah.
thank you. That was great.
I think I used the words with my friend in this moment, in this like
chaos.
I think I turned to her and said, I need to have a temper tantrum for just a minute.
Yeah.
And I did. And then I was like, okay.
I think it's that permission part,
Yes.
right? And
Yeah.
I think because I as you guys were talking, it made me think of the communication and conflict that I have with my husband when I do have them. Because I would love to say we never yell at each other, but hey, this is life. We're married. This is life. We're going through life together. And I will tell him sometimes, I will say, this actually has nothing to do with you. I am upset because of this, this, and this. And I recognize that that is something that is coloring what I'm thinking right now, but I am really mad or I'm really upset or whatever. Now, that requires a high degree of self-awareness.
Yes.
It really does. And I think that to me is where the true law of attraction lies is having self-awareness, and that requires us to do shadow work.
Mm-hmm.
Because we'd want, while these feelings of lessness, right? And we talked about muchness in the other corporate witch wound episode, but the lessness of the feelings can be very addictive. We have to make sure that we're paying attention to them and having self-awareness. I don't know if you guys have had this experience, but I used to think everybody had the same level of self-assessment and self-awareness and self-reflection.
We all hope.
I'm just going to toot my own horn here. Toot, toot. I've always been somebody who's self-reflective. Now, that actually comes from not a good place, because it comes from being incredibly codependent and wanting to understand. Sometimes people who are codependent manage other people and what's going on outside of them. I manage myself to show up in the way that I think other people want to see, which is actually quite manipulative and all of the things, which is a topic for another day. But how do we allow ourselves to, I lost the thread of my, oh God, perimenopause train just came in and hit that station.
Oh,
good Lord. So
that's all right.
What was, get me back on track. Somebody get me back on track. Shit, nobody remembers.
It was like you were on a long train, and I was.
You were talking about your husband. And how you
oh yeah. Oh,
yeah,
so required.
Yeah.
So it requires. There we go.
Self-awareness.
So,
yeah.
Again, self-aware. So how have you seen people? Number one, do you guys consider yourselves pretty self-aware? And then how have you kind of expressed or interacted with your own shadow and your own shadow work to be able to understand who you are?
That's a loaded question.
Well,
good.
I learned a lesson early. Okay, so part of my history is my brother is a recovered addict, and he is 49, 50 years old now, and he started using when he was 13. So his addiction has been a part of my story growing up through adulthood and dealing with that. And
13 is super young.
Very young. And by the way, he's fine. He's great. He's a made for TV movie now. Like, he's
cool,
a leader in the community, and amazing. But I remember being early on in my 20s and having this conversation with my therapist about my resentment towards him. And went something like this. No, I have to be nice. He's going through all these things. He's doing this, he's doing that. But I didn't want to talk bad. I wanted to be toxically positive about it. Like, he's doing the work, he's doing this, that. And my therapist finally called bullshit on me. She's like what Callie just said, name it. And I had to look at myself and say, I hate him.
Wow, that's powerful.
I hate him. I hate him for hurting me. I hate him for hurting my mom and dad. I hate him for doing this to my parents, who don't have the emotional tools to deal with it, who don't know how from their generations of growing up. And I guess, we talked about the witch wound earlier, like their old wounds from their generation. I hate that I feel guilty. I hate that I feel responsible. Like, I hate him. And it just gave me permission. And at the same time, I love him. I think the spiritual bypassing and the toxic positivity, there's a medium that we all need to learn. And being positive is one thing, and the shadow work is another, and finding that medium and how we communicate the two and bridge the two is so important. I think that's what really leads us to be connected to spirit and to call in law of attraction and that middle road, but not to live in that shadow work.
No.
I don't walk around going, I hate my brother.
No.
I mean, I might have it because I was younger, but I'm going to say right now, I learned to say it like this. Right now, I'm in a place where I hate my brother. I'm working to get out of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's work.
Yeah.
That is work.
That
is like the hardest work. Yeah. That is work in your face. And just as a disclosure, these are anything I'm talking about my brother. This is something he and I have talked through very healthy ways, through his recovery program, through all the different steps. We have hit step 9 lots of times to work through things. So I
And
just
what's step 9 for those who don't know what it is?
that is making amends.
Mhm.
Cool.
So just FYI, just wanted disclosure that nobody's getting thrown under the bus here.
No. But like I was listening to that and like I always refer to my coach because she's amazing and like all these things I think in my head, it's just like find a better feeling place.
Mhm.
If that better feeling place is I'm fucking mad right now, but I'm mad because like, okay, great. Then you've moved yourself out of that like instant like, ugh. And then you're like, I'm mad because this. Okay, great. Because I love my family. Great. And then like it's like those little tiny
Yeah.
baby
Yeah.
steps and like you can feel it, but like, okay, just get so you're trying to get to a better feeling place.
Yeah.
And even if it's a small like step and it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be, you're like, you know, and she always equates it to things like you wake up in the morning, you're like, great, I have one pod, you know, like your coffee pods, little things. I have one left, you know, and you're like, okay, great. Well, now I'm good. Okay, cool. Like if it's something
Better than none.
it's better than that. Or if it's something like, and you're just like a better feeling place, you know
Yeah.
what? Fuck, I got 2 clean socks that match and I don't even have to think about it. It doesn't have to be crazy. And like,
Yeah.
but it's just like that mental, like I'm mad. I name it. I feel it fully.
Yeah.
And now I can move on. And I think that's like the work is like, okay, what's my next step
Yeah.
in it? Like, what is my next step? Because you don't, and some days maybe it's just sitting on the couch and being a little stewy about how you felt. Great.
Yeah.
Then go to bed. Then feel it. And then if you wake up in the morning and you still feel it, then continue to work through it. But if you go to bed and if your body's like, go to sleep, feel it, go to sleep, then do that.
So as somebody who's an athlete,
Yeah.
like having always to one of the struggles I've had as a woman is, you know, most of my life I showed up and asserted myself or showed up through my physical being, whether it's my presence or my athletic skills, but I've challenged myself to back that up and use my mind and my logic more. And sometimes I can't use my mind and logic. So I have to rely on my body to help me, you know, not to get into that shadow work. And one of the things the Hoffman Institute, if you guys are familiar with Hoffman, the Hoffman process, they teach is get a wiffle ball bat. And when you have these moments of anger that are just so overpowering or of discontent, whatever the negative is, you take your wiffle ball bat, you go up to your bedroom or wherever, and you just pound the shit out of your bed with this wiffle ball bat. It doesn't hurt anything, but it releases all of that because sometimes some of us just need to release through physical,
Yeah.
whether that's out running fast or lifting weights or listening to loud music and doing those things, but naming it too. But those two have to go hand.
Yeah.
Like, I'm doing this because I'm naming it, but I think some of us need that next step of that physical release as well
Yeah.
to help deal with that, because some of those shadows are so deep, or we don't even really know how to access the more logical side that that your coach probably like has led you through a lot of years. I don't know, it's really interesting how the shadow can just show up, and if you're not ready for it,
Yeah, I think
it can douse you in a,
it bite you in the butt.
yeah.
I mean, how many times have you gotten? I think people who have road rage, they're not really mad at the person who cut them off.
No, God, no.
No.
Right?
Hell
There's
no.
other things that are going on that's making you mad. And I think the better you are at naming it and allowing the emotion to move through you, it's like these small emotions, small bits, small things to
Yeah.
work on. It's the ones that have held on to this resentment, held on to the guilt, held on to the anger, held on to the irritation that turns your body into riddled with disease. And also you just are trigger happy, right? There's this, you can go off in a moment. Like I have people in my life who are incredibly angry people, and they're angry over things. I'm like, why are you so mad?
Yeah, right.
You're spending so much time and energy on that. And I think something for everybody to take away from the topic for today is you have to know yourself.
Yes.
You have to be brave to do the work to know yourself. And a lot of that can come from meditation, journaling, therapy. And how do you start small? I think taking a little bit about what Callie said of try to find that next feeling good thing and try to just stop yourself in the moment and ask yourself, when I was, speaking of being an addict, I also am still an alcoholic, and I've been sober for 6 years. And one of the pieces of work I had to do was the minute that I had a craving for alcohol, I would just ignore it at first for a long time, probably the first 6 months. I was like, that's fine. I'll just eat sugar instead. just one for the other.
Yep.
And then when I realized I needed to kind of adjust that too, I had to ask myself the minute I would have the craving, because it would come out of seemingly nowhere, I had to stop and I asked myself, what was my thought just before I had that craving? So it required me to actually pay attention to the running tape that is going on, really subconsciously. And then I would recognize, oh, I was really irritated about that email that came through. And I was just, because you're not allowed to be irritated about an email that come through, because no matter what, you have to respond to it. So you're not allowed to like express that. I had to recognize those small little moments of being a little irritated, or you know what, I recognized that I really was feeling lonely in that moment, and I wanted to be with my husband, but I can't leave work, so I can't go get a hug right now, and so I have to live in this uncomfortable feeling, because the addiction is a reaction to wanting to self-soothe those feelings that don't feel good.
Yeah.
So step 1 for me would be just recognizing what your triggers are, if you're dealing with addiction, that's one method. I think the other thing is, do you have road rage? Right? What are these things that make you angry that you're like, I really don't want to spend the rest of my life being angry about that stuff? Just ask yourself, what were you thinking about right before that person cut you off?
And like another thing is like, I remember being a kid and my grandmother would just go off on things. Like she would spill something on the floor and it was like the world was ending.
Wow.
And I remember going, I'm not going to be that person. And you see it so often. People like cooking and they tip something other. They like freak out, or they drop something. It's the end of the day. Now it's like, I spilled something. I'm in a hurry. I'm like, well, it's there. I can choose now to clean it up, or I can clean it up later. Bye. See ya.
Yeah.
You know, it's getting to that mindset of not letting the little things bother you and naming them really quickly that you're annoyed, laughing at yourself and moving on.
Yeah.
And it's hard.
Yeah.
So like, how do you change that behavior? I think it goes back to what really upset you.
Yeah.
What story are you telling yourself about the spilled milk?
Yeah.
Right.
What are you telling yourself? Are you telling yourself, oh my God, I'm so stupid, I can't believe I did that?
There you go.
Right.
Yeah.
And so then ask yourself, why did you say that? Is it because your dad used to say that to you when you would spill milk when you were 3 years old? You're so stupid. Why would you do that?
And you should be spilling milk when you're 3.
100%. If you're not spilling milk, you're not living.
Not
I'm going to
living
go
at all.
spill some milk after this.
Well, this
Heck
is
yeah.
totally kind of an interesting topic, but like we got Ben a new car. That's my kid. And he's 15. So, this was exciting. And it was a vehicle that had a lot of use because it was a company car and they sell it to
As
employees.
a 15-year-old should have.
As a 15-year-old should have. And, but it has some dents in it. It has, I'm like, it's been driven for 100 and however many miles.
Perfect.
It is a perfect car.
It's called a beater.
For a 15. Yes, it's a beater. I would have loved to have that car when I was, anyway, but there was a whole conversation about this vehicle and how many dents were already in it. And I said,
what?
I don't care
What a
that
turd.
there is no, it wasn't like there. Ben wasn't.
Oh,
saying
I thought Ben was.
no,
I was like,
no.
what?
No, it was between me and my ex-husband, and we were, because but he is one of those people that like, he's so prideful of his things.
Oh, I get
and things
it.
are so like, it was such an interesting thing. So it helped. And I was like, and being outside of it, and I'm like, oh, okay. Like that meant like there was bubbles and like things. I'm like, oh, that's a connecting pattern. That's a connecting pattern. So I said, hey, I know that you take pride in your vehicles and your boats and those things. And I know you're going to help Ben take pride in this truck.
Yeah.
I said, but I also know that when things get scratched or things get bumped, it makes it instantly triggers something in your mind that can do this. I said, let's reframe this moment, that instead of saying, hey, this car has a whole bunch of like dents in it already in it. I go, why don't that be a good thing? So that way when inevitably he's going to back, I'm like, hello, I wrap my car around like a mailbox into a garage. I'm like, let's be real. He's on my side too.
We
Like,
all do something.
we all
Yeah.
did it. And so I'm
Yeah.
like, and I said, hey, I know how your brain works. And I love that about you because you have done such beautiful things throughout all of our lives. But like, this might be one of those things where because it has all those dents, you can look at that and be like, okay, now I can let go of the perfection. And like, I'm like, this might be a good thing that it has those many dents to start. So it was just an interesting like way I was like, oh, okay, this is like, and he was like, no, you're right. Like, you're right on that. You're right. And I was like, again.
Do you know what I just thought of?
What?
You just described what people should be saying to themselves, because they all have the person who wants to be perfect.
Yeah.
And is upset about those things. And then it's like the child self and the adult self, right?
Yeah.
You have to be the adult in that moment and talk to your child self, talk them out of having everything to be perfect.
Yeah.
I thought that was actually really interesting.
Thanks. I did that on
So
purpose.
yeah, so everybody should look at that as that is an incredible example of how you can negotiate with your own child self inside of you when they're throwing that temper tantrum or they're asking for other things of, hey, why don't we look at it this way? Why don't we just flip this and say, this is actually really great?
Yeah.
Because inevitably, there are going to be more dents and scratches that happen because he's 15.
He's not, and that was the whole conversation. I'm like, you're not buying him a brand new Toyota Tacoma or whatever. I was like, no.
What would have happened if you would have said to your ex, oh, stop. This is good vibes only. Like, why?
Yeah.
What if you would have just like been that spiritual bypasser and just said, we're not, no. We got him a car. It's all good. Let's just be happy. What how would he react to that?
Then it would be instant defense, instant trigger. And like, again, go back to that. Oh, because now we're not solving a problem. Like you're just putting a Band-Aid over something. You're just putting a sparkly, pretty Band-Aid over it, and you're not actually fixing anything.
So he would have shut down.
He would have shut down.
Been resentful. You would have been mad.
Yeah.
It just would have been a disaster.
And that I was just like, okay, I know enough. I mean, I'm like, I know him well enough, and I'm like, okay, let's see how I can. I'm like, and again, maybe this goes back to our last conversation, but like, how can we go into this? And I'm like, how I see things, and like, how can I adjust to help him too? Totally. And like, but also, I would not have been able to say that and to speak like that without work,
doing your own work. That's exactly right.
So, it's so funny, like good vibes only, like that whole ideology, like in all my travels, because I I've traveled a lot and been to a lot of beaches around the world, and there's always somebody wearing like a good vibes only shirt. You always see the tourist shirt, and I just want to punch him in the face.
That's a spiritual bypasser right there.
Well, because it just doesn't accomplish anything. We've just shown like my little stupid moving story. If I wasn't rageful, I would have not slept well, and it would have just been weird. If you would have tried to throw up the good vibes only vibes your ex over this conversation, it would have been massive conflict that didn't need to happen.
Yeah,
that's right.
And it's such a dangerous mentality. We need to be real,
and because everything is not quote unquote perfect, and just like, and we're like, then things are going to shift, things are going to change. Just being open, going downstream, as Abraham Hicks would say.
And I think something to think of as a kind of a final point to this, and don't worry, we will always be talking about law of attraction and shadow work and all of that, because this is a forever work type of thing. But something to think about is you working on your shadow and understanding what your triggers are, where they come from, and accepting that means that your light can be brighter.
Absolutely.
It means that you now have, what you resist persists. So the more you resist being anxious, or you're upset about yourself or being depressed or any of those things, not only are those feelings, I think, highly addictive to your physiology, but you also then have this resistance to them, so they don't go away in either, whether you wanted them to or not. Like, they just are there all of the time. So the more that you attend to that, the less power they have over you, and then you have room to focus on the light and the positive, and you have less judgment about yourself, so that you can flow down the river. Because I think flowing down the river requires no judgment.
And self-reflection.
100%.
I'm like, there's that.
100%. So, with that, we are going to let you all go out into the world with your self reflection and thinking about what it is that makes you tick and accepting exactly who you are, because that is the beauty of being human. Is that we're
Absolutely.
both light and dark together and everything in between. We really appreciate you guys spending time with us today. Thank you for listening to Soul Signals. And again, I am your host, Melissa Kincaid, and we've got Callie and Michele with me, and we'll be back next week. If you have any questions or comments about the topic today, please leave them in the comment section. We'd be more than happy to engage with you. We want to create a community. So thank you for being here, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
That was a good episode.
That's the signal for today. If it landed, subscribe and share to keep the frequency high. Vision, vibration, voice.